Hello everybody. So today this is a brief walk. We're heading down St. Clair Avenue West from where we live, and we are going to be checking out more things surrounding us here in Toronto. So this particular day, as you can see, was snowing. So also I'm doing the voiceover separately to when I actually recorded this. So you can hear Ghost Waylon talking to Ghost Catherine, so enjoy that. Coming up on our right is Poplar Plains Avenue. Now, all the streets in Toronto, the ones that go north-south, are very long. And so there's lots of opportunities to walk south. But some of the streets are a little bit cuter than others. And Poplar Plains is a very cute street. Anyways, it had just finished snowing. In fact, we literally went out and recorded this because there's a little bit of floofy snow still in the air. You can see a little bit of snow falling on the ground. And it's been such a mild winter. It's been kind of interesting to really not be so cold that actually snow is very exciting. Building on the left is basically brand new. It's been constructed in the last 2 years since we've been here. It's really gone from nothing to just about finished, so that's kind of exciting. But it's kind of sad that all these sort of houses on the right that were kind of cute are all being torn down. Then again, the apartment building we live was obviously on the land of some of these cute torn down houses. One thing I think Toronto gets really right is apartment living. It's really good. Like these big apartments, they have pools in them. The one in front of us is they have entertainment lounges, they have spas, they have gyms, they have saunas. One of them has an indoor, is it badminton or squash? Like a squash court. So that's kind of fancy. Outside here we've got a little church. A lot of these things used to be closed, and this is Ontario during a lockdown, right? So this is the most extreme lockdown it can be. You're only supposed to go outside for a walk, for exercise. It's like go to the pharmacy, groceries, and that's about it. We're coming up to one of the major north-south roads. So this one's Avenue. And the road that we live on is St. Clair Avenue West. So Avenue Road in St. Clair. And another one of these fancy apartment buildings. And by fancy, we're probably talking about 2,300, 2,400 Canadian a month for rent. So that's approximately what we pay, but it includes like a rooftop patio. We can go upstairs, we can have a barbecue back in the before pandemic days. Can you guys see all the floofy snow? So that's a look south towards Lake Ontario. And just making sure those cars stop at those intersections. Because the ground, it gets snow on it, it gets salt, and there's a lot of salt on the ground that you can see. That's all the salt that's there. It's a very gritty city. It's pretty grimy, and if you ever come in winter, or especially maybe early spring, there's lots of old snow on the ground, there's lots of salt, there's lots of grime, and you might think it's a pretty grotty city. And you'd be right. But I don't know. Building on the right here that we just went past was the Ontario Ministry of for the Environment, and now we're coming up to a new building that's kind of ugly. I think it looks like an office block, in my opinion. There it is. But it's actually another apartment building, but it was built in front of an old church, and they've kept the old church, the facade of it, and they're going to turn that old church facade into, believe it or not, like an events hall. You can see all the ads for it on the right here. So you can get married outside an apartment. Like I don't know why you'd want that, but apparently someone thought that was a good idea. Obviously a little bit of snow on the ground makes things a little bit slippery, but it's fine. You get nice boots, it's no problems, and if it's really icy, we have these cleats, and they are little metal spikes that dig into the ice. On the right hand side is our nearest little supermarket called Longo's The Market, and it's like a New World Metro. It's pretty tiny, it's very expensive, but you know, it always has really nice fruit and vegetables. And on the right here, so you can see meat and seafood, and this building, the building that it's a part of, is all an apartment building as well. There's apartment buildings all on the other side. Got a person clearing snow, which I don't think you really see in New Zealand. On the right here we have the LCBO, the Liquor Control Board of Ontario, or as I would call it, LICBO. That's where we often get our beer and occasionally wine. It's a special wine that is made in Canada. It's called ice wine. It's basically, we're going to pause at LICBO apparently. The ice wine, they when the grapes grow on the vine, they wait until it is winter. They wait until the ice grows in the grapes, and when the ice grows in the grapes, it concentrates all the sugars. And they basically make a syrupy dessert wine. It's very sweet. Catherine hates it. I quite like it. Here the camera's pointing up just to show a little bit of snow, I guess. Or maybe because I forgot how the gimbal works. But there's also been a new piece of art that's appeared while we've lived here. And it is this art here of this guy, and he is carrying a skyscraper, which is kind of neat. And on the right here at the front of this office building, they have planted a little community garden, which I think is quite cool. And they were growing vegetables earlier on in summer. Obviously, it's not much happening in winter. Oh, still got a little bit of a lean there, don't know why. On the right hand side, that brick building, and there's like a red sign at the bottom of it. Not sure if you can see it. It's an opening soon sign. That is for a cannabis store. And lots of stores have closed in Toronto because of the pandemic, but one type of stores that actually has been booming is these cannabis stores. And these cannabis stores are really like quite fancy. You go inside, they have like hip people with iPads, and they'll ask you what you want or what you're interested in, and they'll help you make your selection. It is a very pleasant experience. More apartment buildings. These ones are pretty fancy because they have a nice big, like a park out the front of it, but this is all private. So we've never been inside, but looks kind of neat. And on the left hand side there's another streetcar stop. So all along the road, St. Clair Avenue West, is a streetcar, and it's just fantastic. It pops up in normal times every kind of 5-10 minutes, goes faster, it operates in the middle of the road. Now we're going past what I would say is probably not a very fancy pasta place. I never see anybody in it. Good luck to them during a pandemic. Place where I got my jeans repaired. I wore the crotch through my jeans, apparently. Too much friction. 2 pairs of jeans repaired for like $55, which I thought was not so bad. Shawarma place, which we've been to once. Photocopy place, which gave us a free photocopy, very kind of them. And we are coming up to a Canadian institution. That Canadian institution serves what I would argue is the worst coffee I've ever tasted. Starbucks is sometimes terrible, but this one really took the cake. It is Tim Hortons. The donuts are fine. The coffee is just the worst. Yeah. Across the road is the Rolex building. I mean, it's their office building. I don't know anyone who goes inside, but whatever. And now we are going to... Oh, yeah, there's the Rolex building. Hello, Rolex. And now we're going to keep on wandering. We're getting close to the main North-South Street in Toronto. In fact, that street is the middle of Toronto. So St. Clair Avenue West is on the west side of Yonge Street, and there's a St. Clair Avenue East, which is on the east side. But first, we're going to go past The Hive, which is a former bar, closed during the pandemic, and couldn't pay their rent, so you're seeing lots of bars where the landlord has shut the doors, and they put up big signs saying you owe rent and you can't pay your stuff. There's a little bit of street art here in St. Clair Avenue West, so you can see one on the side of this building, and it's actually made up of lots of little buildings, is the picture. As you can see, we're kind of getting closer to the commercial side of stuff. All the buildings are becoming a little bit more office-like, less apartments. On the right, coming up, is a pretty exclusive badminton and like tennis and badminton, or badminton and racquetball, I don't know. Some sort of badminton club. And how it works here is super exclusive. You basically pay about $20,000 for, it's down there, it's really high end. So you pay 20 grand and that gives you membership to the club. And then you still have to pay like $2,000 a year to maintain your membership. But it's basically a status thing. You know, if you want to hang out with other rich people, you join the club, presumably you play tennis. Here's my highlight, it's the streetcar. I love the streetcar, so fantastic. We got Mary B's kitchen. There's a nice flat white. It's probably Catherine's nicest flat white in Toronto, I suppose. Got a place here that used to be a bar, but now sells like pies. They sold a steak and cheese pie that was family size for $9. It was terrible. But we're going past a Montreal style bagel place. Coming up to okayish pizza place. Pizzas do not taste the same between New Zealand and Canada. And in front of us is the intersection of St. Clair Avenue West and Yonge Street. Y-O-N-G-E? Yonge? I think people just call it Yonge Street. And past the bank as well. So here there is the one of the subway lines runs up Yonge Street. So if we ever want to catch the subway, we basically have to catch the streetcar, just that walk that we did to here, or we can walk it, and then we can catch the subway into town. That's the look towards south, towards Lake Ontario. Going past a little bit of construction. Now we're at St. Clair Avenue East, and we just crossed Yonge Street. And there's another supermarket around here called Loblaws. So that's another supermarket that we go to. And there's another supermarket literally just past that, which you'll see in a couple of minutes. But before we do that, there is a fast food chain that I have been to once or twice coming up, which is McDonald's. And that McDonald's is integrated into the subway station, which is here as well. So this is the St. Clair subway station. And there's an entrance to McDonald's through the subway station, which is quite convenient. Means you don't have to like leave the subway to then, buy your McDonald's. Here's the streetcar track. So you can see that's where the streetcars go, and then they loop around this building here. Now the whole time we've been here, this building coming up, which is, I think, it's like a Government of Canada office building, has been under construction. And the wastewater or the sewage vent around here just smells the worst. It smells terrible. We have the library across the road. I think it might be the Deer Park Library. It's some pretty sweet construction sounds. Good to see so many people showing us where the footpath is, or sidewalk here. Across the road, we have a couple of, like a little sushi place and some other bits and pieces. It's where our doctor is, the St. Clair Medical Clinic. The medical services here are just pretty neat. You don't pay to go to the doctor. You do have to have a special medical card, but as long as you're a resident in Ontario, you'll get one. Doctors are free. So once I called a doctor after hours, they didn't pick up, then they called me back straight away. And then they just sorted my thing out over the phone. And if I want a prescription, I just emailed them, they gave me a repeat prescription, sent it to the pharmacy, didn't cost me a cent. But you have to pay for medicine here. So, a bit of a change from New Zealand where you pay for the doctor, but all the medicine's $3. Here, the doctor's free, but medicines can be 6 or 10 or 20 or 30, depending on if you get insurance weirdly through your employer. Right, we've got ourselves another little shopping complex, and there's a supermarket here called Sobeys. Some supermarkets in Toronto sell beer, and Sobeys is one of them. So the Liquor Bow used to be a monopoly. They were the only place you could really buy beer and wine and hard spirits. And then there was another store called the Beer Store, and you could buy beer at the beer store. And now the monopoly's opened up just a teeny amount, so some supermarkets can sell beer. We are not walking forever. In fact, we're just about reaching where we want to be, which is, so we're walking along St. Clair Avenue East, and we're coming up to a ravine. And I'm literally just Googling the name of the ravine as we are here. Sweet. Google doesn't tell me the name of the ravine. Okay. Well, we're just across the road from the Deer Park Junior and Public School, which is basically where those traffic lights are. And we're now going to be crossing the bridge to a place called the Vale of Avoca, which is really the place underneath the bridge that we are walking on. It's a bridge, that's fine. Avoca being the street we just crossed. Sadly, the snow has stopped falling. That was the whole reason why we went for this walk. But I did want to show you guys just kind of the neighborhood that's around us. I know it's winter, so it's a little bit blur, but it's kind of interesting. One of the things Catherine and I really miss is just the evergreen trees. Like, you come here and in summer, this place is popping. But right now, like, you look at it and you're like, oh my god, it kind of looks a little bit dreary. See you later, Mrs. Kenning. So below us is a little gully, and there's like a path down there. You can see it. You can go for a walk. It's quite far. It's quite far down there. But I do like that Toronto has a few little walks going north and south. There's a few valleys you can walk down. Right, let's cross the bridge, get maybe to the middle part, and then we can call this one done. Still so dreary. I mean, at least there was a little bit of blue sky on this day. And because it's a lockdown, we can't really go anywhere. You can't go to the waterfront. You can't really explore around. You don't want to take public transport because there's like 3,000 new cases of COVID every day in Ontario. And in Toronto itself, it's probably about 1,000 new cases a day. I mean, there's 3 million people in Toronto, so kind of 1,000 new cases out of 3 million is not so bad, but either way, you don't really want to risk it. But one thing that does bond Wellington and Toronto together is they both have Vincent van Gogh exhibits, so we've got that going for us. Also, there are dogs ever in Toronto. Like, you can own a dog in an apartment, no problems here. And here we are. This is the other side of the bridge, little view of the valley, and slowly panning back towards St. Clair Avenue East and Yonge Street. Hope you enjoyed this little walk. I don't even know who will get a chance to see it. Alright, that's it. Thanks very much.